Today I'm going to be reviewing for you the Hotmoon Cocoon Pro. It's a smart machine that is also an alarm clock that I received in exchange for this review. However, when the company reached out to me, I did let them know, hey, if you send me something, I'm going to actually test it. I'm not going to just unbox it and play with the buttons and show it off. I've been using it now for 30 days. I actually started using it July 13th. Today is August the 13th. So I've been using it now for a month, and today I'm going to give you a rundown of what I like, what I don't like. I've got a little cheat sheet here of my pros and cons. But first, I will say I was pretty pleasantly surprised with the price point on this. A lot of you may be following my channel because you've watched a different review of a different alarm clock. I can pop that up in the corner for you to see if you're interested in that if you haven't. But the price point on this one is like around $55-ish dollars. I don't remember. I'll pop it up on the screen, whatever the Amazon price is, because that's where it's available through. It has a lot of similar features to the other review of a different brand that I've done that's very trendy right now, except it's just this one's way less expensive. So that was really the only reason why I agreed, was because the price point on this was a lot less. So I thought, I've been using the other one for a while. Let me test this one out and kind of see almost like how it compares, but this is not going to be a comparison video. This is going to be just like pros and cons for this specific model. Of course, Pro is the price compared to other options out there. Major con for me right away, after I set it up, I almost was like, dang, I don't even know if I want to test this out anymore. It doesn't have a snooze button. So it has a whole bunch of buttons, and you can see all these buttons up here. There is no snooze. So that could be an issue. I am a big snooze person. So I have used this for a month now and kind of had to do my own little workaround for it. I basically had the alarm set on here, and then I had like a backup alarm on my actual smartphone, which sort of kind of defeats the purpose of actually having an alarm clock, but that's kind of like what I did, so that just in case, I don't wake up with that one. There is a way in the app itself that you can add multiple alarms. So, for example, you could set the alarm for like 6 whatever, and then you could, in your right here, you can create a different one. I never added another one. I could have created another one to go off like maybe 5 minutes later, because the way you set this up is you set up the alarm to go off for a period of time. So I have it go off for only a minute. So once the minute's over, it stops making the noise. And then about 5 minutes later, I'd have my actual phone alarm go off. But the app itself is very simple. It was very simple to set up. Here's a sample of my evening routine. So when you pushed this button right here in the center, it starts the routine. You can hear that's one of the sounds. And then if you push it again, it'll go to the next sound. So I've actually been using this one whenever I kind of do my yoga, and then I will switch it over to the piano music, and that's usually what I would read or journal. And I like this because if you set the time limit on here, it lets you know like how long you've been reading, how long you've been journaling. It kind of gives you a stopping point, because once the music stops, after the 30 minutes, it'll switch over to my sleep sound, which I have set for crickets. And you do have the ability in here to set up like how loud the sounds are, but you also have the ability on the actual device itself to turn the volume up or turn it down. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. But I haven't played too much with the routines. I just kind of left it. I think this was kind of how they had it set up. I think I adjusted what the music was, but otherwise there was already a routine kind of set up once I downloaded the app and got that squared away. The clock light, you can set this to be off. You can set this for a schedule, which is how I have mine set. I have it set to where I think it's around 10 o'clock in the evening, it turns off, and then it doesn't turn on again until 7 in the morning. That way, there's no light shining at night. Personally, I don't like the color of this, like during the day compared to this color. I wish this was not so yellow. I do understand though the reason for it being like a yellow, well, like an orangey yellow color versus a more bright white is because if you do keep the clock on at night, a more warm yellow light is better for sleeping versus like a bright white one. So I understand that. And you can adjust the dimness and the brightness of this if you do decide to keep it on at night. I didn't even play around with that. I honestly just went straight for turning it off at night, and that's how I kept mine set. There are different buttons over here for the different sounds, and you can program these through the app. It comes pre-programmed already with the different sounds for each one, and I think it's 6 each. If you don't like the ones that they pre-programmed, you can go in the app in the library of options and you can change to a different sound, so that right now I think it's still on default. One of the things I will say, I'm going to turn it off again. If you just go straight to the sound machine and start pushing buttons, it's not going to. The only button that will work is the middle one when you're starting your routine. If you want to do something other than your routine, like you have to push the on button. And if you were in the middle of your routine, you see how it like turned, it went right back to my routine. So you have to push the on button in order to do anything. Like if I want to do the light, like the light's not going to work unless I turn the machine on first. So that was just something I thought was, it's kind of a little annoying, but not that big of a deal. You can flip through all the, there's lots of different colors to choose from, and then the sounds, these are all the different like white noise sounds that are in there. And then like some nature sounds, ocean, this is music. So there's all different kinds of sounds to pick from. There is a like timer type feature. I did not use this. I don't know how I would use it. And maybe it's like for taking a nap, but that's not something I actually ended up using. It does come with this handy like user guide, which I thought was very helpful in a day where not many devices come with an actual instruction booklet. So it gave you the instructions on where to go to download it, and then how to log in. So everything was very simple. One of the things that happened to me though was like I started it on a Saturday. By that Wednesday, the app wasn't working, and so for a few days I like didn't use it. And then I finally contacted support and was like, "What's going on?" And they had redid their systems or something, and it made it to where I had to like recreate a login and start over. So I mean, fortunately, it was something that happened like a few days into using it, and it wasn't, you know, weeks in, and then all of a sudden I have to reset because it was going to change any routines I had set up in there in place. Like it was going to reset everything. So thankfully, I hadn't played around or anything, and then before that happened, it hasn't happened since. So hopefully, they fixed whatever they were doing on their end. There is a Bluetooth speaker mode, which I thought was very interesting. And there's instructions for how you can customize the routine in here. So the Bluetooth mode, all you have to do is push this button and then it pairs to, it can pair to your phone. So if you have like Apple Music, for example, you could stream your music through it. The sound quality is okay. It's not going to sound like a higher quality sound like a Beats or a Bose, any of those other like ones that are made for specifically that, but it does sound good enough for you to use. So it's an interesting feature that I didn't really use, but it's just nice to know that it's there if that's something you're looking for in an alarm clock. So basically, it's a sound machine. It has an alarm feature and it's Bluetooth. So that's kind of, so those check the boxes. I mean, like the main thing is it doesn't have a snooze. I feel like that was very missed. If you're going to create an alarm clock, you need a snooze button. But this company, this is the first clock that they've had. They've had sound machines, but they did not have a clock on it. So this version is the first time that they're throwing in a clock. So maybe the next round they'll have a snooze button. Okay, so when you set this one up, you do need to, obviously you need to download the app on your phone, and then you can like pair it, and that needs internet obviously to download your app and to create an account and set it up. But this actually is connected to the app through like a Bluetooth situation. So if you unplug the internet or you don't have Wi-Fi, like that's okay. You're not going to have an issue setting this up. There's other clocks out there that needs Wi-Fi in order to use. I personally unplug my Wi-Fi at night, and that's because my Wi-Fi is in my bedroom and the light bothers me. So when I unplug it at night, using this for the last month, it's been nice that I don't have to make sure that I change my alarm setting if I'm changing the time before I unplug it, because it doesn't matter. Like with the other clock I was using, I would need to make sure I made any changes before I unplugged the Wi-Fi, because that one ran through Wi-Fi. If the Wi-Fi wasn't on, then I couldn't make any changes in the settings of the clock. So that's, I would identify that as a pro, that this doesn't need to be connected to Wi-Fi and there's not that like little annoyance about it. One of the other things is there's no membership. There's no, like, you have the access to the app, but it's not locked up. It's not where, you have certain features that are behind a paywall and you have to pay a membership per month or per year if you wanted like a discount, usually, things like that. This, whatever the app has, like, it's all access. So if there are some sounds in the app that you want that's not showing up on here, you can change it. So they only give you slots for, I think, up to 6 or 9 sounds, and you can change the sounds that are on here already to be any of those if you don't want the ones that are pre-programmed in here. Okay, a few more things that I want to point out about this. The plug is short. I can't move this any closer because of where it's plugged in. It's plugged in behind my bed, and the wire is not very long. So that might be an issue, might not be an issue for you, depending on where you're going to place it. I don't know exactly how long the wire is. I don't think it even says, it might not say it in the paperwork. Oh, it says it's 3.28 feet. It's one of those like USB ones, and then you get the adapter. So it's not a very long cord. It's kind of short. So keep that in mind. The clock, even though it has light, it doesn't have a sunrise type feature. So some clocks have a sunrise where it'll gradually get brighter and brighter to help you kind of wake up. This is not that. This literally is just kind of like a sound machine. You can't set it up to where your sounds at night have a light attached to it. I just don't have mine set up that way because I don't want a light. So if you want a night light, you can set up a light and you can pick the color and you can adjust the brightness, but there isn't any sunrise effect. The clock does give you an option to do like a fade in for the sound in the morning when you wake up. You know what I can do? All right, on camera, let's go ahead and schedule an alarm. Right now it's like, what, 10:17. I'm gonna schedule a new alarm. I'll call it test. And I'm gonna turn it on at 10, 8, is it 18 right now? 10:19. Turn it off at 10:20. Pick a nature sound. Let's see. Ocean. I don't know if it's going to, wait a second, volume mode. There you go, fade in. That's what I was trying to show you, is that it can do like a fade in. So let me hurry up and save this before it switches to time. Oh, I didn't. 20. Okay, now save. Hurry. Okay, the alarm should go off here in a second. But let me go ahead and put on, oh, it started. Dang it. Let's try that again. I was gonna try and have the crickets playing. Let's have the crickets playing first. Let me change this time. Let's do it to 20, 9, 21. You can't have this the same. You have to at least be a minute. Save. Okay, so that's gonna change. Let me turn the volume up to make sure y'all can hear it. So you can tell, it's kind of hard to tell with that one that it was a fade in. The sound that I have set in the morning is kind of like a bird's chirping, and it definitely sounds like more of a fade in for that sound. So you can play around with the different sounds, but it's not a very jarring sound going from like one thing to the next. That's one of the things that I don't like. I don't like being startled awake, and some alarm sounds are that way. And then I like the fact that this has like a fade in, so it starts off at like a lower level and then it gets a little bit higher. One thing I have, the last thing I have listed as a con has to do with the sound adjustments. Now, I noticed that if I adjust the volume on here, it kind of overrides the settings that I have set in the machine itself. So if, for example, if I want my nighttime sounds to be a little bit louder than my alarm because I don't want the alarm to like freak me out, then I almost can't change it to be fluctuated. I don't know. I might be saying that wrong and I might actually be mistaken, but I did notice that while I'm reading, sometimes I'll turn it down because it's a little bit too loud. I probably need to adjust the setting in my routines to maybe turn it down so it's not so loud, but it almost feels like it turns it down everywhere and it doesn't like keep to the settings I originally set. I hope that makes sense. But one thing I forgot, I have written down here sound quality. The sound doesn't feel like it's loud enough to drown out noises. I live in a very quiet area, so there's no outside noises. There's nothing that I'm trying to like drown out at night. But if you are trying to drown out noise, I don't know if this is going to the quality of this is enough, because when in the month that I've tested this out, my kids, it's been mostly the summer vacation. My kids just now started school. The kids would wake up before me and they would start, making noise in the kitchen, and I would hear their noises. Whereas with my other clock, I felt like I didn't hear it. It's almost like, yes, this sounds good and it sounds loud. Like it can get pretty loud. I obviously don't want to turn it up super duper loud because my head's like right there. But that's why I said I don't know if the sound quality is the best, because it feels like it's not, I don't know if loud enough is the right term, but it's just like not, something's not enough about the sound to where it'll drown out. And I don't know if that's just like, maybe some sounds will do better than others. For the majority of the time I was using like crickets, and then what I would try and do is I'd switch to like one of the white noise sounds, like a fan or whatever, to try and see if that would help. But even those sounds, I don't know, I could never find one of the white noises or the other sounds that I liked on this machine that would help cover up any noises happening in the house. So that to me is like a kind of a big deal, but yeah, wanted to make sure I pointed that out. That may not be an issue for you, but probably is for some people. Hopefully I got everything that I can think of testing this out over the last month to help you make a decision if you think this is something that you're going to want to get for yourself or for somebody. My son is actually going to take this one. I'm going to give this to him because he doesn't have a clock right now and he wanted it. So I was like, okay, fine. It kind of gives off a teenage boy vibe with the color choices. I think right now all the color choices are this gray and then the black one. He probably would have preferred the black if I would have picked the black one, but I ended up getting the gray. So yeah, just in full transparency, I wanted to put that out there that I do plan on giving this to him. And if for whatever reason something happens with this clock while he's using it and it just kind of like malfunctions or something, I may or may not do an update video because I only tested this out for a month and I can only speak to the experience of the month. If something happens tomorrow and this thing completely doesn't work anymore, that would be very unfortunate. But as of right now, with what I've tested out using and it's been plugged in the whole time, it seems like a really good price point. So anyway, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll make sure to leave a link in the description to purchase this over on Amazon. I obviously did not pay for this. Again, the company sent this to me. Anytime a company sends me a product, I'm always upfront with them about it and they know what to expect with my reviews. They know I'm not going to be biased. They know I'm going to test stuff out. And anytime someone gives me something, I always mark it in my video as a sponsored video, even though they technically didn't pay me to make the video, but they did send me a product. That's just how I do my channel. If you want to see more videos like this where I talk about products that help you prioritize your self-care, make sure you're subscribed and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.